How you doing, man? I feel you on that. Where are you at?
Monterey.
Monterey. Nice. Is the weather warm?
Warm enough. It's not snowing. So that's good.
Yeah, you got some healing vibes over there. You're doing some chanting, some voice modulation work.
I'm actually recording. It's called Oming in the Real World Symphony.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
What's do tell? What's that all about?
Well, I'm producing a lot of music now, and I just released 4 singles this week.
Nice.
And kind of moving forward with these branding experiments. So David America is a branding art project experiment with branding. You know, it's crazy. Branding as art.
That's we're always doing that. I've been branding my buffalo for 20 years now. Oh, bro. Buffalo hat. How's the art going?
This is it. You're watching it. This is.
Are you painting a lot?
Say it again.
Are you painting a lot?
Hold on. Cool. One more time.
Are you painting a lot?
I'm doing everything but painting, it seems. Every other kind of medium you can think of. I've published a couple of books this year, a fiction and nonfiction.
Self-published?
I'm sorry?
Self-published?
Say again?
Self-published?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And composing a lot of music.
Nice. Are you doing that like on GarageBand, or how are you doing that?
Yeah, GarageBand.
Nice. Are you happy? You haven't been in LA for a while now?
I have not. I've been on the road. See, I had like about a month and a half between doctors bullshit. So I was like, it's the longest leash I've had in a while. So I did as much far away stuff as I could. Gonna be in LA. I have to do a blood draw on the 2nd and the 2 doctor's appointments on the 3rd. And then I'm down to Torrey for the week. And then the Grateful Dead are playing at Dodger Stadium on the 11th. And I've never been to Dodger Stadium. And my friend, Mary Margaret, she'd never even heard of Shakedown Street. Oh. And I was like, girl, we got to fix that up. And so she got infield tickets.
Well, is this what's the name of the band? It's not Grateful Dead, but it's like Dog something or?
No, it's The Dead.
It's
called The Dead now. But Rat Dog is Mickey, what's his name? Bob Weir's band.
Bob Weir's band, yeah.
Yeah. You know, one time I saw him, Rat Dog play at Bonnaroo in there were like 15 people there because nobody knew. You know? People, there was like this alcove and this, little setup, and it's friggin' Rat Dog.
That must have been.
So there's all these other main stage things going on, and people, if you didn't know, but very quickly it filled up with deadheads, no doubt. Yeah. In a trance. It was funny. It's hilarious. I shot 300 photographs on that Sunday of Bonnaroo in 2005. And at one point there was that whole gallery. There was a whole gallery online. You could scroll through all of them. And so there, between the two main stages, there was these two main long metal bridges that crossed a creek that the majority of people went across. But every once in a while, there was a renegade that just wanted to jump the creek on their own. And so I just sat there for like 20 minutes photographing all the renegades. So cool. But another one is I think it was when Government Mule was playing. I love that name, Government Mule, like government cheese.
Yeah.
There was this. So this is like Saturday. No, this had to be Sunday morning. It was probably like between 10 and 11 in the morning, right? There's 10,000 people staring at this stage, and this band is playing. This jam band is just going off, right? There's a green, the security fence, a plywood fence in front of the stage. Brothers would just walk up to this security fence and pee, and I just kept photographing them. It's like there's like 10,000 people. You're peeing in front of 10,000 people.
People are animals. They don't care.
We are animals, but here's the thing: every one of them had a unique, response to that. Like, how do you get the moxie up to piss in front of 10,000 people, right? And so I have this photograph of there's two different guys, and one of them has a peace sign up while he's peeing. It's like, what, he recognizes that there's 10,000 people standing behind him. And he just wanted to let them know that he was cool.
Yeah, I can't. It's hard for me to pee in a public bathroom.
I hear you. That's what I'm saying. So,
of having to pee in front of 10,000.
Yeah, there's this another iconic photograph where that same stage, there was an angle where you could look down the hill, in the stage, and how all the people, it kind of looks like this wave of heads, and then there's this tree, and people had climbed up in this tree, and they're like hanging on. There's two different people on two different branches just hanging on, and there's this shot with that band playing on the stage, and these people in tie-dye t-shirts just dangling off of these trees, just like, it looked like a modern Norman Rockwell pose, you know what I mean? Or like if you were trying to make a poster, right? If you were trying to make a poster a rock poster interesting, you'd put characters in there like that. Yeah. So how's it going with you, man?
It's not bad. I mean, trying to keep, stay productive and I'm over here in Oregon, and kind of like, the weather's been crazy. I'm just trying to keep the flow going. Had a little trouble, trying to kind of push into stay creative and keep my mood upbeat, and kind of going through some trials and tribulations, with what am I doing with my life? Is it all, do I even like movies anymore, much less making them? Or I don't know. I just turned 53, and it's like, I got some work done on my teeth. So I got to work all this shit up so I can smile again.
Congratulations.
That's been probably two, ever since COVID, but I kind of got anyways, I'm just trying to remain productive, and I guess just a lot of heavy dreaming and
wonderful
meditation, which I've had that all my life, but it's like, just really like where I'm at in my life, and where, I don't know, a lot of self-reflection, I guess, and trying to be tenacious with the art, and trying not to undersell my stuff. But I ends up, I have a little bit of seller's remorse about this painting, that I sold to these guys. That, you know, I was talking to one guy as a business guy, and his partner came down, and we both talked. And angling two conversations about the same piece of artwork is really difficult because
Yeah.
you're in a you're not dealing with one person anymore. You're dealing with two,
Yeah.
and they know each other.
Uh-huh.
You know, I appreciate the money, but it wasn't. You know, it was like a 15. It should have been like a. If I could get the amount of money that I actually deserve for my paintings, I'd be fine. But I'm getting. I used the money and I paid up my bank account was overdrawn, so there's a late fee. So it's just like, what am I doing? What am I doing?
Right.
What's going on here? You know, money seems to be tight for everybody.
Yep.
But people have money.
Yep.
People have money. There's a lot of people out there that have money, and I'm trying to get them to get the right eyes. And people are telling me that, oh, there's no money in Salem. There's no money in Salem. I was like, there's people with money in Salem. They just not. I just need to meet them, or they need to see my stuff. But I don't know. I've been going through a lot of reflection, trying to motivate myself to edit all this footage that's already shot. But then again, when I edit it together, who's gonna watch it? Who's gonna pay attention? Who even's gonna hire me to do anything that they can't get for free right now? So media has changed a lot, and I guess I'm a little jaded. You know, I don't know I mean. I was thinking about like what I'd be doing if I was in LA right now. Would it be anything different than what I'd be doing or you know, in Salem? What am I doing here that I'm not doing there? And it's the same thing when I reflect back. Like, okay, well, I was having a hard time in LA, and you know, still underselling just to stay afloat. But now, I don't know. It's been a lot of retrospective and just trying to keep the motivation going, and also work on my weight and my teeth. And you know, people ask me if I'm going to go back to LA anytime soon. I don't know why I would right now. I don't know. Everybody that knows that's like long timers there, like you and a few handful of other friends, are just taking off because summer's not the place to be when you're there because the weather's gonna be the same. Like, it's just hard. It's just like trying to make right decisions, you know.
Yeah. Navigation.
Yeah.
Spiritual navigation is what it's about, my friend. Right?
Yeah. It's like you know, I'm kind of being I'm not I have to motivate myself to edit this stuff. That's, I mean, I got stuff that tons of different footage from various parts of my life, but also new stuff. I got like tons and tons of videotape, like of back in the Sponto days and like before internet, and that I've got like 50 mini DVs or mini disc or digital videotape that I have to transfer, which I'm sure there's a lot of gold on there, interviews with people and stuff like that. But I don't know, just I don't know, kind of sleeping in a lot, trying to deal with the weather, little PTSD from the weather. It's up, it's down, it's hot, it's sunny, it's rainy, it's cloudy, it's hailing. It's fucking it's like 12 different seasons in one day.
Right.
So, you know, it's hard to sell artwork without rain on the streets, and much less putting it up in a gallery that's out like 11 months or a year to put artwork in there with some of these galleries.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know where I'm going to be in a year. I don't know where I'm going to be in 6 months.
Nobody knows.
But I don't know.
To the club.
Writing, I got the podcast is going good. I mean, it's a lot like say hi to Raquel.
Who's
Raquel just joined. But you know, doing the podcast,
hi.
I should get you on the podcast. But
you have a podcast?
Yeah, I do it through Zoom. It's called Brett's with Friends. I'm doing like 73 episodes.
Brett with friends?
Brett's with Friends. Like my name plural. I'm slightly dyslexic. That made sense.
Cool, man. Yeah, that'd be great. I thought this was that.
We could use that for this.
All
we
right.
could save this video.
I got a story for you.
Yeah, store it and I'll just edit it together or something. But we can do a more intensive one where we can see you better. We can shoot it during the day.
What, you don't like my end of the world lighting?
Well, I like that. I like that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I would key you in a little bit more so I can see the side of your face. But
This side.
there you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. But I don't know. Just kind of trying to be productive, trying to get people on the podcast, and it's been more length. It's like the time between me getting people to do podcasts is stretched out because everyone's got less time now. Now that I guess COVID is over, but I do have some really good I have some really cool podcast guests lined up, but they're out like in mid-June. I think I got probably one of my biggest ones that's going to happen with a really cool guy named Paul Provenza. He's like a really, you're the first one that anyway who watches this that's a exclusive David Alexander English exclusive. But that one's going to be big. That one's going to be big. He directed the movie The Aristocrats. Which was the movie about the world's dirtiest joke.
It's based on the Broadway play that played forever.
No, it's about the world's dirtiest joke. Like it's almost a documentary that he released like 10. He had Paul Professor's green room. Anyways, he's a really cool dude, and I'm excited to have him on. And I think we're gonna have a very interesting conversation.
Wonderful.
So I'm looking forward to that. But just painting and just trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah. So, I have some news.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. So are you familiar with these archaeological sites I discovered in Big Sur?
That you discovered? No, but
Yeah.
you tell.
Okay. So 1993, 94, I discovered these archaeological sites in Big Sur. The first one on the crest of the Pacific Range, and it's a celestial observatory that's possibly in the neighborhood of 10,000 years old. And for 10 years, I thought it was common knowledge. And then up until when I showed the photographs that I'd taken of it to the zone archaeologists for the Forest Service, because it's in the Los Padres National Forest, and discovered they had no idea that it existed until I showed it to them.
Well, that's wild.
Yeah. And then 5 years later, I discovered 2 more sites within 5 miles that are also, one is a celestial observatory for keeping, it's a pentagon, a pentagram inside of a pentagram inside of a pentagon, and it keeps track of the 60-year cycle of Jupiter and Saturn, and the one on the inside keeps track of the 8-year cycle of Venus.
Okay, is this like a dodecahedron?
Excuse me?
Is this sort of like a dodecahedron?
Dodecahedron?
Yeah, where that's like looking down the barrel of a DNA strand.
You could do that. It would fit inside of that if you connected all the points on the outside. Yeah, you could make it into that. So fast forward to 1999, I met a brother named Rory McQuestion. He also goes by Rory Duff. He's a classically trained British geologist that spent 7 years working in a underground in a gold mine in Southern Africa. And that's where he learned how to dowse. And he's been teaching people how to dowse ever since. And on the, are you familiar with Silbury Hill?
No, but also want to backtrack. What's a dowse?
Dowsing is using, I use copper angle irons to detect whatever it is you want to detect. Like, you can find water.
They used to call that a water witch.
Right. It's also dowsing. it's spelled DOW, right? But
Yeah.
I feel that it's more like TAO, you know? It's more like dowsing
Yeah. Okay.
in the sense because you're basically, it's your subconscious is connecting with something in the, you know, the physical slash metaphysical realm. And so fast forward, I met him on the top of Silbury Hill, which is a man-made cone that's about, I think it's about 4,000 years old. So it's like a pyramid, but it's a cone, and it's made out of limestone blocks, and there's two chambers inside. But the whole thing, they didn't discover that until LiDAR, right? The whole thing is covered in sod, and so it's like a cone with a top flattened off, cut off, right? And what's really weird about it is it's right at the base of a hill, like
Where?
a natural hill in the landscape. And this, what it overlooks is this area where there's a lot of crop circles.
Where's this at?
It's Avebury. It's right over the hill from Avebury Stone Circle, the largest stone circle in the world.
I don't. Where's that at? Are you talking about something in the United States or?
No, it's in southern England.
Okay. Okay.
Right. So we met in the rain on the autumnal equinox of 1999 on the top. I came up one side, he came up the other, and we started up a conversation like we had just finished a conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we've stayed in touch ever since. And so in 2008, 2009, Rory did the first comprehensive survey of the subtle energy field of England, where every day he would check measure what was happening with all the ley lines in his vicinity, at least once a day, if not several times a day, for a year and a half. And he discovered that there were 4 periods in the year, the equinoxes and solstices, where all the ley lines in his vicinity began to vibrate at the same frequency. And so there's 3 orders of these lines. There are those that are caused by the Earth's core rotating against its outer core, creating a low frequency sound wave that radiates to the surface. And we experience that as a ley line, a line on the Earth, a subtle energy line on the Earth, that until 2017, all of those were between 1 pace wide and 5 paces wide, right?
Okay.
The next order is our solar lines. Before 2017, those were between 10 paces and 30 paces wide. The top order is what's known as the Emperor Dragons. And those are caused by cosmic radiation, beams of cosmic radiation coming from active galactic cores, the center of galaxies in our galactic neighborhood. When cosmic radiation hits the upper atmosphere, it creates a stream of neutrinos, subatomic particles that radiate down through the Earth and through everything, everybody, every bone, everything that there is on the planet is these neutrinos beam through us. Eventually, they'll actually hit something at the core of the Earth, and it creates a low frequency sound wave that radiates to the surface and propagates at the surface as a pair of ley lines that are approximately in between 50 and 100 miles apart as they go around the planet. And until 2017, there were 3 of those pairs, and they were 50 paces wide.
Okay.
And up until 2017, there were no pairs that passed through North America. And they only cross one another in 6 places on the planet, and only 4 of those places are on land. And one of those places is this place called Mount Kailash. in the Himalayas. And what's unique about this mountain, it's sacred to at least 5 religions in that area, and people at this very moment are prostrating themselves as they walk completely around the mountain. That means that they lay face down, arms and legs spread to the earth, stand up, take a step, and do the same thing all the way around the mountain, right?
Yeah.
That's how sacred this mountain is. So between 2017 and 2019, 3 more pairs showed up on the planet. And
Okay.
in the summer of 2019, in June of 2019, I got a photograph sent to me by Rory that it's very familiar to me because it's of that area on the top of the mountain where I discovered that archaeological site. And
Yeah.
100 yards away from it, there was an emperor dragon line that came up out of Jade Cove and went across America and enters the Atlantic Ocean in a wilderness area just above the border of North Carolina and Virginia. And when it goes back across the Pacific, eventually it goes to Uluru, Ayers Rock, in the middle of Australia. And at Ayers Rock, it crosses what the Australian Aborigines called the Rainbow Serpent that runs north and south. So now, since this has shown up, Ayers Rock is now a node, one of the most powerful nodes on the planet, because now there's 20 of them. Just so Ayers Rock is now like Mount Kailash in terms of its potency, right? So Monterey, the Monterey Peninsula, Sunset Point, is where the twin of the Jade Cove Emperor Dragon comes out of the ocean. And it goes across the country to Newport News, Virginia. I doused all of this, the Virginia end of it, last Labor Day. And on the way back cross country, I doused Chaco Canyon and found that there's a 100 pace wide solar line that runs through the canyon. And the earliest structures in the canyon were built in that line. Their graveyard is in that line. All the kivas are in that line. Do you know what a kiva is for?
No.
Kiva, you know what a kiva is?
No.
It's like the cylindrical, when you see pueblos and all that, you see these ruins of these cylindrical rooms.
Okay, like circles that go into a middle?
It's like a round room that you enter from the roof. The ladder goes down into it, and then once everybody's inside, you close it and pull down the ladder, right?
Okay.
Or pull up the ladder. And what these things do is they create a weakened magnetic field.
Okay.
They create a magnetic anomaly. And the human experience of a weaker magnetic field can be euphoric. It's ideal for going into trance states, self-induced trance states.
Okay.
So, which is the same, that's what a cathedral's for, right? That's the same, it's a temple technology.
Yeah.
Right? You create a weak magnetic field anomaly, basically. So you can imagine if you're able to do your meditation in a magnetic anomaly in the middle of one of the most powerful solar lines on the planet that's connected to to the whole grid, right? Like you don't have to be on a node. You can just, you're just wired into it wherever you are, right?
Okay. Yeah.
This is why I think the Hopi, talk about the need for them to do their ceremonies is the need to keep the world in balance. Their ceremonial cycle, their yearly cycle of ceremonies is designed to keep the planet in balance spiritually. And if anything happens to disrupt that, then, chaos happens. And a lot has happened recently that's obviously like, COVID and whatnot. So, but
It's been
I
tough.
digress. So, since 2019, the solstice, I've been measuring the width of this Emperor Dragon line that crosses the Pacific Coast Highway at Jade Cove. And when I first started, it was for the solstice of 2019. I spent 5 days up at that node on the top of the mountain, and the node was 50 paces wide. It's as wide as the largest line that's going to go into it. So it's 50 paces wide, right? 6 months later, it was 80 paces wide. By the fall, it was 120 paces wide. By last fall, it was 600 paces wide. At the solstice. The solstice?
The winter solstice?
No, the equinox.
Oh, equinox.
At the equinox, it was the one in Big Sur was 3.5 miles wide. The one in Monterey was up closer to 4 miles wide. And I measured them about 2 weeks ago again, and they haven't moved. They're exactly where they were. One of the things that's really interesting is in Monterey, the city, right? There's two Fisherman's Wharf, and as you're coming into the town, the first Fisherman's Wharf that you see is there's a place called the Sandbar Cafe.
Okay. Yeah.
Halfway down the pier, and right there, where they're on top of the sandbar, there's a flagpole with nautical flags on it. That's where the line was when I checked it at the equinox. When I checked it 2 weeks ago, it was in the same exact place, which is really bizarre. So I'm going to do my next measurement at the solstice, and if it starts moving again, boy, oh boy, like, what would make it do that, right? Why is it doing this? What's the connection to the solstices and equinoxes? It doesn't, I don't have an answer yet.
So you don't. What's the outcome of this? What do the effect is, or is that something you just don't know, but you notice it changing?
Well, look what's happened in the world. You were talking. The first thing you said to me was what you've been going through, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody on the planet is going through that same thing.
Yep.
And it's because of what is happening. Both, it's all.
Hi, Rosie. My friend just joined, Elaine Rossi.
Okay.
Hi, Elaine. She just joined. This is David Alexander English. She's an artist in the Monterey Bay Area right now. I was just letting her know that I see her.
Yeah, that's cool.
So everyone's going through this hard time. What do you foresee now that you've been doing all these, studying and researching and stuff like that? What would be the where is it going?
I'm so glad you asked, dude. Because I actually have an answer.
Cool. Let's hear it.
I've been meditating on this. There's getting the field data, right? you know, regular measurement. And then there's like, what is this doing to population centers, right? But here's the thing: it doesn't matter really, because it's global. All of the lines are expanding, whether they're generated by the Earth, by the sun, or by these galactic lines. They're all expanding. So it looks like at some point, and the whole thing is being driven by the solar system. Apparently was obscured. It was passing through a patch of space that was like a dust cloud, right? And it's been slowly moving out of that. And as it moved out of that, more and more of that radiation was able to come in from 3 different directions, right?
You're talking essentially about what is our universe is moving into a photon belt.
No, it's just our solar system, the
Oh,
solar
yeah.
system. And
because I remember studying this like, or it coming to mind like years ago. I'm just trying to get the context. Is that if our little solar system is moving around that, it's coming to a different light or photon belt.
Yeah. This is
that was a paradigm shift. That was a whole part of that.
Yeah.
It's
more than that. It's more than that whole. I mean, they had part of it right.
Yeah, it's a way of looking at it.
Yeah. You know, that the whole idea of us being able. You saw that photograph of the black hole at the center of the galaxy?
Yeah, they have 2 photographs of it.
Yeah. So we should not be able to take that photograph. If you have to have something coming from there that's going to make an image, right?
Yeah.
And supposedly you can't see it with the naked eye because there's dust in the way. All right. So we are now coming into a place where we're going to be able to see, right? We're actually, I think we're going above the plane, but it's going to, I mean, we're not in our lifetime, forget about it. We're not even getting to the apex of that, you know? But be that as it may, there's less between us and these 3 other galaxies in the neighborhood, you know? Although Rory and I, we're trying to figure out. So there's 5 Emperor Dragon pairs. Oh, excuse me, 6 Emperor Dragon pairs, right? And they all, 5 of them vibrate at the same frequency, 48 hours. That means just like a serpent, they if you're standing one place, you'll see, and you're dowsing it, you'll see that it moves, right? Over 48 hours, 24 hours, it'll move in one direction to the left, and then 24 hours, it'll move to the right. Okay? So it has a sine, cosine, or a helix of 48 hours. The 6th one is 72 hours. Guess which one that is?
The one that you're in Monterey, or
okay. Now check this. This is really important, vitally important. There is another pair, the first pair that showed up in 2017, that goes around the poles, pole to pole, and it splits the pole, right? Doesn't go through the pole, it splits it. So, and it's approximately, I'm guessing 50, let's say it's 50 miles apart. So it's 25 on both sides of the pole, right? And it crosses this Emperor Dragon here in Virginia. And I doused those 4, it makes a giant hashtag that's 50 miles square. And I doused those 4 points on that trip last Labor Day. So the next time that line it goes south, right? And it goes to Peru. and it does that splitting with a major node where two other emperor dragons cross one another.
Yeah.
So in the Western Hemisphere, there are only two places where this, we call it the twins, the one that goes north and south, touches any other emperor dragons, and it's in Virginia and in Peru. So the most powerful node now, because since all these three new ones showed up, is that one in Peru, where 6 emperor dragons come together.
Okay.
Kind of important shit to get the word out, don't you think?
Well, if we know the cause and effect, or it can tell people what what the result of all this is.
Okay, so check it out. Let me. I kind of got more into explaining more about the system than where it's all headed. Okay, so excuse me.
No, just where was saying trippy.
Yeah, it's trippy, baby.
The one person that's watching.
So check it out. Check it out. There's this. There's a 24,000 year cycle that is according to ancient Hindu scripture. And are you familiar with Yogananda, the brother that started Kriya Yoga in the West, right? Self-realization fellowship, all that.
Yeah.
Okay, so his guru is this brother named Sri Yukteswar, and he, as well as being referenced in his lifetime as a incarnation of wisdom, he was also a noted Vedic astrologer. And he developed his own house system that people still use today. So he published a book called The Holy Science, I think in 1936. No, 1901. And this book, the preface to it, references this 24,000 year cycle and explains what it is. Right. So if anybody wants to, you can go online and just put in the Holy Science or Sri Yukteswar's Holy Science. Right. And you can free PDF, and you can read this preface to this book. It's one of the most important things I've ever read, because it talks about this 24,000 year cycle, which is an egg-shaped orbit where the fat end of the egg is closest to the galactic center, and the sharp end of the egg is when the solar system is the furthest from the galactic center, right? This egg-shaped orbit is what it is because it's revolving around its twin, right? The majority of stars in the sky that you see in the sky are not singular stars. They're either binaries or trinaries or any number of more multiples. So it's really unusual for a star to just be one. And it's very likely that there is a binary twin called a brown dwarf that would be about the size of, you know about brown dwarfs, cool.
Yeah, it's got an easy to remember name.
Yeah, really. So we encounter the brown dwarf at the sharp end of the egg.
I'm listening to you. Just I want to acknowledge anybody that comes on.
I appreciate you doing that. That'd be great, because I can go off.
No, I just want to go all the technicality and the dowsing and everything like that. The language of what you're explaining is very interesting. But what does that mean to because are you talking about where we go through a conscious evolution, and where I remember studying or thinking about these things in 2000. This is and a lot of multidimensional reality, a consciousness being raised and being able to see through things and seeing the heartbeat of a flower, or all these different things, these aspects. And we're 20 years later, a lot of those people that I knew thought things like that became QAnon people, you know, and
You're
that
right. They did. I know some of those folks. It trips me the fuck out. I got to tell you. Go ahead.
just hi, Ocean Blues, say hi. Hi, Ocean Blue. The
Ocean Blue,
where
like,
now, a lot of
what's
those
that?
people I can't even talk to anymore because they started losing me at like when like even in 2001 or 2002, like with 9/11 happening
Yeah.
and different things that were happening, and
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
really
Okay.
disrupting patterns
Yeah.
on a global scale where we are not as innocent as we once thought we were.
Right.
And lost our innocence during that time. But like, where does that like? And those people that I know that shall remain nameless that went into a different direction with eating, you know, they kind of lost me at eating babies. And you know, because if anybody's eating a baby, they're going to be thrown in jail. I don't care. People are quitting, and people are fucking party masks on, like eyes wide shut. We're gonna hear about that.
Yeah.
And we fully, you know, there's been lots of. I don't even care to have those arguments with those people because it's like we're in a space now. We're in a different place, and but like we are still talking about threads of those things that connections. Like I believe that the world is going through a conscious something's happening where we're just alive to hear it or see it, and because we're human or whatever, you know, the animals don't give a shit. You think a whale gives a shit about the humans or anything like that? So
yes, they do.
They do.
Oh, yeah.
Probably if they're lucky, they'll if they're smart, they'll hide from us because what we're doing to the planet's fucking off the charts.
No, there's no hiding. There's nowhere to hide. Where the fuck are you gonna hide on this planet, man? This is our spaceship.
I'm still trying to find that spot.
What?
I guess I'm still trying to find that spot. Where do I hide? No, I'm not trying.
There's no place to hide, man.
With all these technical terms and stuff like that, where's that put us? I mean, where are we? Like, I always thought like if there's gonna be a mass hallucination, that might, you know, where if it was like I've had completely crazy out of body experiences where, and like dream states where, you know, I wasn't on drugs or anything like that, but like they were very real, like of alien invasion, and if that like even like there wasn't anything I was listening to or like it was very real and stuff like that, but I mean, I could describe it to you, but like there was these giant airships that were on the ground, and and it was at nighttime, and I saw spaceships flying overhead at night, and then I saw on the horizon line there's people walking in line towards the entrance of these spaceships, and I started walking towards one of these giant like building size things that were like, you know, the size of the Empire State Building, but like vertically or no horizontally, you know, down. And as I walked towards these, they're lined up and people were walking. I didn't know why people were walking in a line towards them. And as I walked to them, and this is a dream. It could, you know, it's an alternate reality. I wasn't on drugs or anything like that. It's just me in a different state of reality. It's a dream state. And but the reality there was very real, so real that I actually went up to the base of one of the crafts that was giant, and there was these holes that were like holes with a rope through them, and those spaceships were not metal. They were cloth and design or some sort of material where those things had landed on the base on the face of the planet, you know, and they were like blankets because they had they weren't like metal. They weren't metal, more like a balloon that was blown up to be a giant spaceship. But they had these you could see where the ground met the spaceship, and they were like folded. And the string was through the holes as if they would wrap. If it was to extend, they would tighten up. I know, really weird visual, but like you know, we will go maybe to our graves with this, and this is maybe just the experience of our own sort of trying to figure out reality and playful. No, if I had never said this to you, then it might never, I've never maybe would have told somebody. I would love to make a movie of it because the visuals are so strong. But no one's going to give me a budget. It's hard to make a movie. Everybody here at Just Aware knows that. But don't have like military or military based ideas in it. And so where
you could just um, talk it and animate it while you're talking, and like while you're telling the story, and 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 that'll be enough.
I maybe, but I still I'm a cinephile. Or I love visual. I'm all visual. You know, you're
Good.
visual.
Well, you can do
But like,
that too. You can add later. You can
but
do
who's
that.
gonna
But
watch? Nobody
huh?
cares. Nobody
What?
cares. Nobody. And maybe that's just me being jaded, but I don't think people care. I don't think people are at this point.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It's about
Doesn't
you.
matter if they care or they don't care. Is what brings you joy, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
You know, it's like, what are you getting out of bed to do? Are you getting out of bed to do joy, passion, what you want to do today, right?
I hope. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what puts a smile on your face. You know, if just if you're gonna have fun, now would be the time.
Well, we're alive, so
Exactly.
so now's the time for as long as you're alive. You're not going to care when you're dead.
How do you know?
I I haven't. I don't necessarily know, but I know like. But I do know that the fun is in the doing, and
Yeah,
like
no shit, bro.
all creative, all these creative things are about the experience of creating them and the inspiration of doing that. But I don't, and the result is the whatever product or painting or novel or whatever you express yourself in whatever media. But the pleasure is in the doing.
Yeah,
And
sharing.
caring and sharing. But at this point where we're, I'm 53 now, and I living in my mom's laundry room, sleeping on a 500 mattress. That's dope, but like not where I want to be and where I thought I'd be. But like now I'm just using it as a soundboard. But like where does this take us? Like if the consciousness of the planet is being revealed slowly, and we are trying our best to experience and be creative in this environment. And I know that I have my life is a lot better than a lot of people's lives. I'm not, but like, what's the next? I guess I'm always sort of a futurist. I like to see the future.
Yeah.
But like, because if I was thinking this 20 years ago and we're talking about it now in some sort of context and nothing's, I mean, what is what is it? Is it just the inspiration for creativity we're talking about here to have elaborate thoughts so we can fuel other ideas, or what are we doing?
Every person on this planet is here for a reason. Every person on this planet, a lot went into them coming here. They wrote this script, this life script, and the next 10,500 years on this planet, the conditions are right for what? What?
I don't got 10,000, 5,000 years. I'm being a devil's advocate by saying that because reincarnation and all that, multiple dimensional realities, we could probably be having this conversation in a different reality, at the same time as this. But like, where does it, like, I need people need something to grasp onto
Okay. Can I finish saying what I was saying though? Let me finish where I was going with the 10,500 years. All right. We are in that egg-shaped orbit. We are 1,500 years out of the 12,000 year journey back to the closest point to the galactic center. We are 1,500 years into that. So for the next 10,500 years, we're going to experience this expansion. Now, do you know notice how in your lifetime, what year were you born? You're 53. Okay, I'll give you an example.
69, baby.
69?
Yeah.
Cool. The day I was born, August 26, 1957, there were 2.8 billion souls on the planet, souls incarnate, right? As of about a month ago, there were 7.88 billion souls incarnate. So 5 billion souls in the past 64 years. 5 billion more souls, right? And each one of them has a mission, a purpose, or whatever. And just since 95, another 2 billion souls, right? And these generations are becoming more and more sensitive, just like you are becoming more and more sensitive. And when we were kids, you know, what we saw was unfathomable to the grown-up people we thought of as grown-ups then. But now we're those people. And what we've seen, we took for granted. This generation of people will not be able to stand what we grew up with. They won't be able to stand it energetically because of the sensitivity, the empathy, the empathic qualities of the species are awakening, are becoming more prevalent. And the people that are being born are more sensitive to energy, subtle energy, right? Whereas our grandparents, being sensitive was not encouraged. It was seen as a weakness. And they were hard people because they had to be. And the generations before them were hard because they lived in a denser time. The difference in that egg-shaped orbit, the closer the solar system is to the center of the Milky Way galaxy, the easier it is for incarnate souls to perceive and manifest divinity, to sense their divine nature, to sense subtle energy, right? To recognize that everything is energy. Everything is subtle energy. And we all, 7.8 billion of us are driving the ship. This is my spacesuit. This is the spaceship, right? This planet is our spaceship. And we drive collectively the direction of the ship through our dreams and visions. And this is not just some sort of mumbo jumbo, pie in the sky, funky new age nonsense. This is the power of vibration. The power of vibration in a vibratory field that is glistening right now and only becoming more and more fertile for suggestion. And we are experiencing this intensity, a rapid intensification of our existence on all levels, everybody at the same time, right? And this is coming after I started keeping track of what I call the population harmonic around 1995. And I postulated then, I wondered what would happen when the number of incarnate souls matched the base frequency of the Earth at 7.83 hertz vibrations per second, right? And we reached that point the week of the election, the presidential election, right? And leading up to that moment, I was, for years, literally, I was just wondering what is going to happen when we get closer and closer to that point, right? There's no way I could have predicted that the whole world, every soul on the planet would be brought into a place of reflection for 2 years, brought into a place of self-reflection as a soul, right? I mean, it's like, how can you, that's just so friggin' amazing when in the context of the population harmonic.
And
right?
that's actually a really interesting idea because it was something that happened, that was an idea of what's gonna bring everybody into a now state, or somewhat of a state where it would affect everybody at the same time. And and it actually happened.
Yeah.
And
Isn't it amazing?
it's amazing, but also it's interesting to see what didn't happen.
Like
The power of people wanting to do bad things still, and not, and I mean, we all got a grace period, for that COVID, and I don't have the answers, but it's just a more of an observation. But like, I don't know, did the COVID change everybody? Did it change everybody? I mean, it had effect on. I mean, it changed the lives of the people that died. But like, I mean, what did it do for? Did it elevate us? Did it make it better? Did it? Are we still reeling and understanding what just happened? Are we? I think people need context and actually things in front of them to see and feel and touch to actually make it real. And what happened was with an invisible source. Okay, I'm going to digress. Okay, because that just kind of goes off. That's a sort of an observation. But don't you think that if you're an enlightened being, I'm just a normal guy. You're a normal guy. We're all normal people here. I would think that if a consciousness was to actually seed us and become and elevate us as even on an alien language, as an idea for us to expand our minds through an alien consciousness, that would be done through mushrooms or psilocybin or where we transcend and actually ingest the alien that we all are. And the more like even 20 years ago, if you're saying, okay, we're going to be doing, when I was first doing mushrooms, I thought everybody should do this. And I was like, oh, wait, hold on. I met some people that maybe shouldn't do this because people, their hard drives became totally fucking like they never got out of it the same, like in a good way, or in a bad way. They fuck themselves up. But like, I'm a psychonaut, so it doesn't. I was like that hit me like a duck to water. But the power of the influence of a mushroom to take those ideas of the imagery and the symbols that you see and the mesh and the webbing that's lit, whatever the pattern that you see, I mean, it does elevate you, and I would think that would be a key ingredient into the evolution of our species. So more people, so kids out there, eat your mushrooms, all right?
This is a PSA, right?
Yeah, I was
the Oregonian in the one state where mushrooms are not illegal. Yay!
People should eat more mushrooms, man, because it's in a nice setting, a comfortable setting, and where you're not being hey, Duhamel, Claude joined. Oh, hey, Claude. We're talking about mushrooms. I think in a good setting, you can actually come and bring those things through, elevate this reality with the expansion of mushrooms or whatever.
Yeah.
So maybe that mushrooms are the aliens, and we are part of that.
So, the source of all that is, within all that is, doesn't really recognize anything as alien.
I mean, I guess when I say alien, I mean, I guess I'm using mushrooms as a metaphor, as a higher consciousness to break the boundaries of our human selves down, like what's important, what's not.
Kombucha.
There you go.
Tangerine, blood orange, kombucha.
So I mean, with all this being said, I mean, what does it look like in a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? Not 500 years where we can't
okay. Here's the thing.
What can we experience that from what we're talking about that's going to happen within our lifetimes?
Okay. What we're seeing is heightened sensitivity and the reaction to heightened sensitivity. The numbers globally of support for authoritarianism are pretty much 1/3 of the population. And that 1/3 of the population is scared of change and wanting control or sense of control and expectation. There's a percentage, a very large percentage of populations. It's like, hey, let's just go, and that's about 1/3 of the population. And there's that middle, the people in the middle there, that one day they feel one way, one day they feel the other. And this whole thing is the same way as a herd of anything decides which way it's going to go, right? It's a democracy. And what I was saying before is our dreams and visions are how we steer the ship, right? What we believe in ourselves, where we place our belief, because belief is the thing. That's putting your hand on the paddle, right? Is where you invest your belief.
Yeah, if I believe I'm going to be, as a child, I understood, I always knew what I wanted to be as a painter, or a filmmaker, or an artist, or whatever you want to call it. And now that we're at our ages that we are, and we're still trying to do what we do, and I guess be creative and inspired on a daily basis to what keeps us going we're going to need some like big inspirations to like meander through the next, I got probably a good 20, maybe hopefully 30 years left of my life. And like, what do I do with that time based on what I did with the last 30 years of my life?
Right on. Yeah. How do you maximize the time you have left?
Because we can see what's happening or what's coming. Mm-hmm. But like, when I was 30 years ago, that seemed like a faraway place. And now and now it's not so far.
Right. And it could be snapped closed pretty quick. But this is where the life script comes in, right? You're writing the script. You wrote the script before you got here, and you worked with super consciousness to decide what is the best optimum lifetime to live as a your contribution to the collective source of all that is, right? So then here you are as an infinite immortal being. You can edit that any way you want, but it takes consciousness to do that, right? Conscious intent to say, I'm going this way and not that way.
Being a conscious means also being alive as well. A conscious entity is an unconscious would be as a way of saying that a dead personality or a dead human. You're not conscious.
And that's not necessarily true. I mean, because let's get back to that. Okay, because it's people on the other side, they're just on the other side of an energetic barrier, right?
Trauma.
What?
Trauma.
What about trauma?
Sometimes it's a barrier that's based in trauma that
but I just mean the energetic barrier that separates one coherent state of reality from another.
Okay.
It's talking about the physical barrier and the metaphysical barrier, where the physical becomes the metaphysical, right? And we pass through it through sleep, through dream, through trance, through death. But there's so all of this is, it's like music, right? There are the certain distinct notes that we recognize, and those are the points of the most coherence, the most coherent potential of a sound object, an object that makes sound, right? And those notes are the coherence. And then there's the space between those. And that's what I'm talking about. How do you get from one coherent state to another? The physical plane is one coherent state. The etheric, the astral, the causal, the places that are more dense than this, that have more of a bass tone than this, they're all, it's all about coherence. You know, it makes sense. Coherence means it makes sense, right? And everything in between doesn't make sense to us, right? While we're here, but we come from beyond all this stuff. So, but while we're here, this is the story we're telling ourselves.
Yeah.
Fun. We don't know what's going on. We just showed up. You know, we were born into this. We just had to believe what somebody else told us was going on. Some of it was true. Some of it was bullshit. And we're trying to decide which is what.
It was all bullshit.
Well, you know, some of the stuff, you know, how to wipe your ass, that was important. That worked, you know. So
I'm still learning how to do that, but
you know, it never ends, bro. It's just, you know, we need to evolve. That's why it never ends. Somebody's always figuring out a new way to do it. Go ahead.
So do you think we're living in a simulation?
In the sense that what else is there? Yeah.
I've been thinking about that for like a long time, even from a child. Like I feel like something's operating, you know, something's operating you, your higher self. Something is operating me, my higher self, or whatever it is. However you want to form it into a human language to understand the concept of it. Yeah. But it's like I feel like there's another part of me that operates through, or, you know, it might be not me, it might be who knows with it, but it feels like there's something that's operating through me that understands these things, and it's almost like you are playing a video game, living your life today.
Yeah.
Like, as opposed to, like, I could only imagine what it'd be like. I'd be living in the Western days, where you'd walk into a bar and you get in a fight or get shot for, you know, the romantic idea of it, of, you know, being a freer place. But I mean, we're still the same human beings that we were a long time ago. The consciousness is different, but it's like I think we're operating individually, also as a collective consciousness of the planet. Individually, we all shape and have a impact on each other's lives, without knowing it. It's like a butterfly effect or whatever. But I feel like we're playing ourselves. Our lives are like a video game. We got these flesh bodies and all that stuff, but it's like, that's why maybe some things seem trivial and not trivial. Like, as we get older, when people pass away, we go, okay, that person died. Okay. I mean, are we going to all be on Facebook for the rest of our lives? I mean,
not me.
Not me.
They disabled my account.
Yeah.
Between cancer treatments. Go ahead.
Did you close your account on the Facebook?
No, they disabled it on August 21st, 2020, at 11 a.m. exactly. I discovered that my 13-year-old account, my 20 pages of stuff that I invested my life in, and all the people I'd met on the cancer journey and all that sort of shit, was all gone. without warning, without explanation, without cause, and without recourse. Like, nothing. There's no number. They don't have a you know, helpline or anything like that. You just, you have to have an active account, and they won't. It recognizes all my IP addresses, and I have no more Facebook for the past 2 years. Which is really bizarre, because I still have my Instagram account. So whatever could have, I have no idea what.
Maybe just.
What's that?
Maybe you just got hacked.
I have no idea. I won't know. Because there's nobody to talk to.
I got hacked. I got hacked recently, and I found out there's a person on when I went through, and like, it started getting hacked again after I got back on Instagram. And so I started checking down my settings and stuff like that. Everybody should do this, by the way, is see and make sure that you're the only one that's your setting is pointed to. Like, there might be somebody piggybacking your thing, like, has access to that. Like, there's some lady on my account that I had no idea who this chick was. Maybe it was a friend that I thought was a friend, or I didn't recognize her, but she was on my account as somebody who was able to set my settings. And so
did you know her?
No.
And was this what platform was that?
Instagram.
Oh yeah.
So always, you guys all out there, check your Instagram settings and make sure you're the only one on it. That's the only thing, because I didn't even know. When I was like, "What's going on here? What's going on here?" And I was like, "Wait." And I went back, and that whoever this person was, I deleted them and got them off the contact. But they were able to do that. And I don't think a lot of people check that stuff, because
Yeah, right.
there's could be, like a little feeder fish on the side of a shark. Just
Really
with you.
parasites
Parasites, exactly.
must evolve.
So so you agree we're living in a simulation?
You know, what else is there? We're making this up. We're making it up and trying to decide what makes sense to us. And the reason we're trying to make sense of it is spiritual navigation. What I said at the beginning. We're navigators. We're trying to figure out what the fuck.
So, what do you know about the Dogon tribe?
Excuse me?
What do you know about the Dogon tribe?
What do you want to know?
Can you expand on that idea? I've had some out of body experiences with Dogon tribes, not for like many years, but
Wow.
like through February of 2008, I had a reoccurring dream that was a deja vu dream with this. I mean, I could go through the detail of it, but
Go, please. I've got all night.
well, I mean, Dogon. Okay, let's first tell me what you know about the Dogon tribe, and then I'll tell you my story.
They're visited a long time ago by this spaceship landed over there. Two dolphins. Oh, it dug a big hole, filled it with water. These two dolphins jumped in, swam over to these folks and said, "Hey," they pointed it up near Sirius, and they said, "That's where we come from."
Do you know what they look like?
The Dogon, yeah. I think there's a brother who's a member of the tribe, and he, travels around the country and does events like Conscious Life Expo, and I think I met him at the expo.
Well, my experience with Dogon tribe, in a nutshell, I'll try to make it really short. I'll tell you, I woke up.
I painted a painting, by the way.
You painted a painting?
Of that story, yeah.
Yeah, me too. I have it somewhere. I don't know where it's at, but I have.
Good.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The dog star.
What?
Dog star.
Yeah. Right.
So I had a very interesting experience. I was living in a house on Dudley Avenue in Venice, and I hadn't been doing drugs the night before or anything like this, but I was doing a lot of psychedelics before. This is like when I was doing some really clean ecstasy. Not at this time. This is years before that. But ecstasy like that. But yeah, I walked out my door, and I heard an air balloon, like the sound of like a, like the fire being let out of an air balloon, like a balloon. And I looked up, and it was a very realistic dream. I remember it like yesterday, and I saw this very, like, it was a triangular spaceship. It was like, let's see what I can do. It was like, it was kind of like this triangle. Think of this as a triangle, and it was flying more like this, not like this, but up like this. This is a triangle like this.
Yeah.
And it was flying. This is the windshield, and there's 3 light bursts of the back, which were like very streamlined, very filmic, I guess, with the light pattern, which was lines off of them in a ball light, and I was like, whoa, that's really weird. And then I was in a backyard of a familiar place that might have been in Texas when I grew up or as a child or something. It looked familiar, but I didn't. It was completely different from where I was just at. And so I see this thing circle, and I realize I'm in the backyard, and I see the house that's in the backyard. It's very, very, simple house, maybe 2 stories, concrete, whatever, almost like an apartment. And I could see it was at night, and I could see the thing flew around once, and I was like, oh, that's when I was realizing this. And then it flew around again, and then I saw the driver, which was a very dark-skinned black man with yellow eyes, looking very intense. You know, I could see, in through the windshield, and he had this really intense look on his face. You know, you could see the him like this, and like almost like angry at first, but I think it was just intensity. And that's when I realized that it was a deja vu. I had this dream before and seen this pilot before. And then I saw this, look, both my Facebook account is going to be bopped after this too. Okay, so then it was Horizon Line. I could see lights, little lights, it was pitch black. And I saw these kind of shaded things kind of coming to me, running up to me. I couldn't quite make out what they were. And as they got closer, they're like 3 dogs, but they were not like dogs that are human dogs, or like human dogs, earth dogs. and their faces were inverted. It's like psychedelic, like when you see an animal or something like that, it's twisted. It's like its eyes were on the outside. It's like if you take the face and you go like this. And they were black, very velvety, shiny skin, but they had, and I was laughing. I was laughing because they kind of greeted me, and they had this frothing at the mouth that wasn't like a meat. It was just like a liquid. They're kind of slippery, and they had like a thing on them where they're like a I don't know how to describe it. It was like a wetness or a slime, not a slime because I wasn't grossed out. It wasn't a gross thing. And then I saw these 3 figures, very tall, very dark-skinned black people with braids and garb, like very, very ceremonial, very, very like pattern, very, very, very very tall, not short people. Like in the dream, it seemed like they're 7 feet tall. And there are 3. There's 1 in the middle. There's 2 on the sides. And I had a conversation with the one in the middle. And the middle one was I was talking to them, and he had a very braided beard, very, very had cornrows or very braided hair, very, very, very royal, very, very like very. It felt like I was in the presence of some sort of. These were people high. This wasn't just a regular person. And I noticed we were having a conversation, and I had a close-up of his, I saw a close-up of his mouth, but his mouth wasn't moving the way our conversation was happening. And I realized that we were probably talking with our brains, because what we were talking wasn't matching up with his mouth. And he had a very like kind of beard kind of thing, and he looked at me, and I asked him if Fruza Balk was going to be in my movie because I was writing a movie, and he kind of laughed and kind of, no, Fruza Balk's not going to be in your movie. It's the first time I'm telling anybody this, so this is like a David Alexander English exclusive. But, thanks for giving me the platform to talk about it. But saw him, and maybe you can, if you have any knowledge or expand on any of this, what I'm about to tell you, is he looked at me after because we talked about some other things that he kind of laughed when I asked about the Fruza Balk thing, because he's like, that's the question you're going to ask me or talk about. And but so I see his hand, and he shows me his hand, and his hand, a little like yellow kind of, I would say mustardy kind of thing kind of pops out of his hand. It's like a liquid, and he takes it and he smushes it, and he kind of like smushes it, and he smushes it, and he strings it out, and the light from behind, from the horizon line, I could see it like almost like it was like almost like a I guess would be most like a look like a the lines of a there's a line, but almost like a root or a skeleton, because there's a line, but it had all these little things off the sides of it.
Like a nerd.
And then I found myself inside a spaceship, and there's dancers, and there's a big, It was like, and then I walked in to this one room that had a computer in it, and it had a symbol on it. And I sat down, and this is before internet. This is like before, in the symbol, I jotted down because it looked like almost like a puzzle piece, which would later become any number of logos that are sort of like that, where it's like a circle within a half circle with a crux, almost like a Star Wars, where they put the where R2D2 puts the thing in the machine and twists it. Sort of that archetypal,
Yep.
circles within circles, but with markings that separate the circles. So there's a symbol in there somewhere. And then I woke up. Oh, but somebody, I was walking down the hallway, and somebody popped their head out, and it was hardwood floors, and they're all, "What are you doing here?" And that's when I went into the room with the look at, people are joining. Oh, hey, I don't have my glasses on. Whoever that is, you can see it. Hi. But so that was, and it was a really realistic dream. And I haven't had an experience like, and I've seen UFOs in person. That's a whole nother story. And I dealt with the harmonic convergence. It could have been man-made. It could have been anything. But I was not on drugs. It was early. I was going actually to the harmonic convergence in Malibu. And there was a spaceship, but that's another story, where the spaceship looked like a top. It was flying like this. And then the back of it opened up, and air and like gaseous like steam or some sort of smoke came out of it. And I wasn't driving. I was in the back seat, passenger side, and I was looking at it. It was silver, and the back of it sort of like opened up on itself, like where it's like fitted, and all this smoke or steam or something came out of it. Then it disappeared like that, right in front of my eyes. It was a solid object. I wasn't on drugs. I saw it.
Man, you're so lucky to have these things happening. You know what I mean?
So what's it mean?
You're asking me. This is your shit. This is your shit. You're asking me. The fuck?
I
make something up.
I got don't make up. Just based on what your ideas or what you're thinking. So like, God, I think there's a connection between Dogon tribe and the ascension of this planet, and I have no idea what it is, or it could be a human construct that we're just making up these stories while we're alive to make ideas understandable, or fantasies in our brains. But I remember that like yesterday.
Remember what? Oh, the dream. Oh yeah, definitely.
The stories, those people, those experiences, and did that affect the rest of my life? Probably in some sort of way. I mean, I think we're all in a higher calling of some sort of situation, but what does it mean? Where do you go with that? Is it just higher? Or, after we're dead, does it matter? I mean, are these things just stories that we tell each other while we're alive?
That's not, that's not,
I'm just kidding.
It's not a rhetorical question.
I was just hoping that you might have had some experiences, I guess, or talk to other people that might have had those experiences.
Oh, I've had lots of experience of listening to people tell these stories, and I got to tell you, it for me it comes down to there is every possible reality. Every possible reality exists and has existed since the first moment of the creation. And that the source of infinite consciousness became aware and decided, hey, let's make a creation. Boom! And it knew everything that was going to happen. And we are that. That's us happening. And we are these little sparks of differentiated consciousness running through the realm of possibilities, any which way we wish. And there are other aspects of us that veer off into all the other realities that we care to go off into. And we are the ones deciding which dots of us we're going to connect into this awareness, at this point of continuity. So you've got all the possible universes. Everything is possible. And what you're obviously been experiencing and cultivating um, a metaphysical presence, a metaphysical consciousness and awareness, right? I mean, that's why you did all those drugs, right? Was to play with consciousness.
Yeah. I mean, when I did mushrooms, the first time I ever did LSD, I took 3 hits of LSD and in Modesto, California, at a party with some friends. I was driving to the party, and I mean, I literally, this is going way back, but like, I took to that. That was like a confirmation. It wasn't like, oh shit, what happened? This is more like, oh, I wasn't so wrong. I mean, I was talking to a cat in the parking lot before we went into the house, but I mean, or telepathically, but there is a unity. There is a between things that is non-language that we could say language. I say language saying that I talk English, you talk English, we can understand what each other are saying, but there's also there's a non-spoken thing that's happening between people as well, like when you feel like you're in danger, or you feel the hairs on the back of your neck, or there is a language that's not being spoken that people already, like, you get a group of people together in a collective way. And I definitely believe in telekinetic energy, and I'm a bit of an empath myself, and I can pick up the energies of other people almost to where I need to not be near them because they're not really going to be good for me, because I will start acting like them. Not in a It's really weird. It's really weird because we are affected by each other, and my hope would be that that becomes that clairvoyant, or that idea of telekinetic. I think that's probably where we're going, is to read each other's minds on a more global space, so we can actually be in a harmonic with each other. And or I mean, we get it with our animals, our cats, our dogs, whatever. I feel, ever know somebody, ever been around somebody that you felt something strange happening, not necessarily a good situation, but that person would later die.
Wow.
Have you ever had that?
I have to think. Obviously, you have.
Yeah, a couple different times. Yeah,
Yeah.
where it was like, I call it a heat, but it's not like hot. It's just the best way to describe it. And it's on the back of your neck. And or for me it was. And I felt maybe it was a danger thing or something, but I knew of a girl named Juliana Redding that was murdered in Santa Monica. And we used to do this yappy hour things. Gorgeous, gorgeous girl. She modeled, becoming an actress. She moved from Arizona. I was such a, last time I saw her, we were at the Yappy Hour in Santa Monica, and we were drinking. She was like 21. I was whatever 30, whatever 35 or whatever at the time. And I was hanging out with her and a couple of friends, and we were looking at each other's IDs for some reason. We were looking. She pulled out her driver's license. I was like, oh yeah. So nonchalant. Oh yeah. So and then I had this. I was living in a hotel, the Rose Hotel on the boardwalk, and Rose up with my dogs, and it wasn't the best time for me, living in a hotel is just to try to keep your dreams alive in Venice. It's how far would go to stay there, believe in that idea. And I heard this thing on the TV, actor killed or actress killed in Santa Monica, news in 5 minutes. And I got that feeling that I had when I was around her one of those last times, on the back of my neck when I heard that. Wow. And then the news came on, and it showed her fucking driver's license picture.
Wow. Wow.
She was 21.
How long ago was this? What year was
Probably
that? About
um,
what year was that?
2007 maybe.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it's heavy, but it's
Well,
interesting too.
thanks for bringing your spirit into this conversation, bro.
Yeah, I thought about trying to make. I met her father when she first came to town at the Happy Hour, and I met her father when he came back in. He came
Wow.
to the Happy Hour with his wife, and what do you tell? You know, we talked about dogs.
Bless her. Bless her
Happy.
spirit.
What do you talk to somebody who's just lost a child?
Yeah, really.
You know, what do you say? But so we just talked about dogs. Her killer got off, by the way. Kelly Sue Park. They found DNA in Juliana's fingernails from her pulling on her own neck because she's being strangled, and they found Kelly Sue Park her DNA in there, but Kelly Sue Park was the assistant to her boyfriend, this Indian guy who's in a pharmaceutical. There's a whole thing. And he tried to go into business with her father, but then he died. He declined, and then she wound up dead 2 weeks later. And Kelly Sue Park had $250,000 in her bank account 2 weeks before her death, and she got off because of trace DNA from a cup that was in his house, and since that was his assistant and Juliana was at the house, that cup was in Juliana's house, so they thought it was a DNA transfer.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so and I thought about making a movie about that, but I mean, how do you make a movie about that and not make I don't want to make money off of another person's. I don't. It's blood money, but it's also a cautionary tale. And I was like, how do you? And I talked to some people at a party like who love like death movie or like criminal investigation movies. And then I was like, I told them that same story. I said, should I make that movie? They go, no. I said, but you watch movies about this all the time. But you don't want to profit off of somebody else's death, but it is a very interesting story. And I don't know, it's a weird thing to do. It's like I don't know. It's a very super gnarly, crazy. I mean, I couldn't make this shit up if I tried. There'd be no gain for me to do this.
Yeah.
But and so as we live these lives, you know who you know are these just experiences, or you're an artist, you create things, you're examining the human condition. I mean, what do we do with this stuff? I mean, I mean, we'll all die someday. You're gonna die. I'm gonna die. Hopefully not for like a long time. Knock on wood. But like, how do we just keep? I guess you have to look at it like the same eyes as you do as a child, where you're going into, like you used to travel, like fly to Amsterdam. Like when I was 30, I'd do that. I did that for like my 40th birthday or something like that, or my 30th, and I just flew there with no consequences. We should still be able to do that for the rest of our lives, right?
Pretty much.
Okay, you talk now.
What?
Okay, you talk now. I'm going to use the restroom real quick.
Okay.
Talk, talk to the 5 people that are listening. I'll be right back in 1 second.
All right. Go ahead.
Where are you going to come on a podcast soon? I'm trying to get you on there. What do you eat, David Alexander? What's your go-to food? So life is heavy, man.
What's that?
Life is heavy. But what do you got to do with it?
Density. Density.
So do you think it helps you being out of a less densely populated area to be more clear with your thoughts and your dream states? It's not the stress of living in a highly populated area?
So when I'm in civilization, you know, it's easier to get into other people's, you know, empathetically, it's distracting. And so the goal is to put myself where I can't be distracted by other people's energy. And then what comes out is amazing. You know, that's how I'm really enjoying my work. I love my work. And if I was, you know, if I had a companion or something, I think the work would be different. You know what I mean? If there was anybody, I had the option of bringing my sister's dog, this wonderful Jack Russell, but I did it for 3 weeks last year, and it was so distracting, you know, thinking about somebody else's something when I need to be thinking about the work and whatever needs to come out, you know. And I love the process of it coming out, you know. I love how you're always 24/7, you're doing the work, whether you've got a tool in your hand or not. You're working, you're designing, you know, things are coming, you're doing work in your sleep, right? I love that. That's when you know that you know you're doing the work, is when you're doing it in your sleep, right? And everything informs it. Your conversations, your lack of conversations, you know. I had this wonderful experience today, where I climbed up the top of the dune with my glider and hung out with other pilots as what we call para-waited.
What's that?
That's when you're waiting for the wind conditions to get right so that you can fly. And so, you know, you talk and you hang out and you're watching everybody's watching everything that's happening, trying to figure out if we're going to get off the ground. So you're watching the wind.
So do you do the thing off the side of the mountain or near the? Are you flying a thing onto the ridge of the wind? Are you doing one of those things?
Yeah, paraglider.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, paragliding. That's what I just fucking said.
Yeah, that's it. That's me. Here's my paraglider right here. I sleep with my paraglider.
Is that a form of meditation as well? What's it like up there?
Fuck yeah, Bubba. In the best way. In the best way. It's like having sex. It's that much of a meditation. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Somebody wrote something. I'm going to have to read.
Oh, you read it.
But I want to say this about flying. Yeah, it's sacred. It's a sacred thing. There isn't anything about it that isn't sacred. You know what I mean? You're in the friggin' sky, Jack. You
You're
know what
one
I'm
with
saying? You're in
yeah.
the sky. Ah,
Is it like what do you feel when you're up there? Is it like a thing of meditation, or is it now?
yeah,
Is it just all those things and more? Is like a
yeah. It's infinitely more than it's more than you can take in. And so what happens is when you get a chance to talk about it, you start reliving it. You know, if you're
yeah.
standing in line somewhere, or you're waiting in a waiting room at a fucking hospital for cancer treatments or shit, you know, you're sitting there and you're not there because you're flying. You know, because all this other stuff, all this, um, when you're
No,
flying, there's too much going on to take it all in. You know, to take in the wow of it, because you're in constant wow, and then there's more wow. It's a never-ending wow shit, you know. And you land, and you just got your permagrin, and you'll be standing there in a trance and replaying the flight, and still you won't be scratching it. I mean, like as I'm talking to you, I'm getting these visions of different flights that I've had, you know. And then there's the ones where I'm in the hot spring, right? And I'm not in the hot spring. I'm in the sky. I'm looking at these the hawks thermaling, and I've flown with hawks, dude. I have flown with hawks.
is that where they have they been like side by side with you and
Yeah,
surfing the wind in one place?
going up in a thermal, going up in thermaling together. Yeah, yeah, and ravens. I fly with ravens a lot. I feel I've been seen by the raven, you know, accepted by the raven for sure. Because they've even when I was injured, they came to me and gave me encouragement. They all did, you know. It's like it. I things happened when I was in the springs for 3 months, where I felt every time I saw the birds, they were giving me energy. You know, this there's blue herons there, and um, there were these four hawks that and right across in the springs there's a thermal that's usually there in the afternoons if there's going to be one, and so you can just watch them. You know, all the birds that want to go up, all the birds that want to soar, and it was so encouraging. It was like a language of love for me, anyway. So I love to share the story of the first time. Uh, well, I'll just tell the story. So I took off from Torrey, Lighterport, and turned north to my right. And there's this point of the cliff we call a north face, where there's usually a lot of lift. And there's a couple of flags out there that you can kind of see what they're doing. And if they're blowing a certain way, you know that there's a pretty good chance there's going to be enough lift there. So it's kind of like a filling station in the sky, right? Um, so I'm heading towards that, and I came up about 10 feet in front of me. I came up behind a raven, and I was stunned. I just laughed out loud, right? And the raven turned its head. It's like, who's making the sound behind me? And right then we both turned into a thermal, and we started thermaling. And so there was two ravens and a seagull and myself going around and going up higher. It was so cool. So,
What can you explain what thermaling is a little bit better?
so you know what a dust devil is?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's basically a dust devil is just going a lot faster, and you can see it because it's picked up all sorts of dust. But a thermal is does the same thing, a little slower. And a thermal is basically a bubble of hot air. So like, let's say the sun bakes a specific piece of ground, and it creates it gets so hot that it's much hotter than the air above it, and eventually it becomes a bubble, and it starts to go up, and you can fly into it and circle inside of it, and you'll be going up. And so when you see the birds circling, they're in a thermal.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Right. And it's only the the ones that soar are the ones that look for those. The regular birds, they all depend on their flapping, but the birds that are used to hanging out for hours in the sky, they're the ones that like to find those thermals going up.
So animals do this shit all the time. Did you ever see that one video? This guy had a thing where it showed like he was originally photographing or videotaping his friend coming down from the snow, and all of a sudden an avalanche happens, and so they slowed down the footage, right? They slowed it down, and you can find rabbit on an avalanche or something like that. And when he goes to the side of the screen, they saw this rabbit, this big giant bunny, right? His friend already passed, right? Because the avalanche started happening. So there's this bunny that's on the side right there watching. They slowed down the footage, but the bunny was watching and the avalanche happening, and the fucking bunny ran on top of the moving snow.
Really?
Yeah, ran like feet, like toes up in the air, like fucking. That rabbit was watching for that to happen.
Wow.
And he took the wave.
Wow.
Like back feet up in the air, just like fucking running over this crumbling snow.
Wow. Like he caught it. He caught the footage.
Caught it.
Wow.
It was a white rabbit too, so it was like you wouldn't have been able to. I mean, they probably found it after they're looking at the footage, going, "Oh, let's take a look at this footage."
Yeah,
and then they went, "What the fuck is that?" There's a rabbit.
Exactly.
It was the rabbit would have been fine.
Yeah.
If it would have just stayed there.
Yeah.
But he wanted to. He took it.
Did he survive?
I think so.
Excellent. Excellent. See, there's hope for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess if the wave comes, do we just have to jump on that wave when we can catch it?
Yeah, but you don't have to ride every wave, and there'll be another one.
True.
Right? If body surfing doesn't teach you anything, it teaches you that.
And everything.
Pick your wave, baby. Pick your freaking wave.
Yeah, pick your wave. Pick your wave.
Because some waves are just too fucking big to ride with any kind of common sense. But if you ain't got no common sense, then you don't have anything to worry about, right?
Problem. That might be common. Not a good thing.
We've all had our lapses, though. I've made some bonehead mistakes in my life. One time, I almost cut myself in half working on a loading dock. I had one of those moving trucks that has a ramp that's attached to it.
A moving truck with a ramp? Yeah.
Yeah, out the back. So it's a big box truck loaded with lighting gear. And I was supposed to pick it up and place it on the ramp. But I got myself, without thinking, because I was actually kind of traumatized. I'd had a car accident the day before, and I wasn't really thinking straight. And I put myself between the reloading dock and the ramp. And luckily, when I yelled, "Stop!" the driver hit the brake. But it came in enough for me to feel it. If I had not said anything, I'd be dead. And we never would have met, and we wouldn't be here right now in this universe. In another universe, yeah, that was where I died.
Have you seen that movie Everything All at Once?
I have not. People have been recommending.
It's the best movie of the year.
Okay.
It's very multidimensional, very, very sweet movie, and it made me like movies again because I was my heart was kind of broken because I love movies. I love making movies. But it's really hard right now. I know that I shouldn't even say that because people say words are power and stuff like that. But like, it's like, I mean, it's made me believe in the power of storytelling again, in a film way. And it's been a long time since I felt that, because a lot of movies that are being made right now, and I know this is like preaching to the choir, is military based. That's how you're gonna get a big budget movie. Maverick, Avatar, any number of films all use military based ideas or wanting to be shown. And I don't know if that's because of what thing or another, but those are the people that are getting budgets to make these things, is you got to show military. And everything all at once is not like that. It's actually just showing multiple realities all at the same time. And they do a really fucking good job of it. So I recommend it.
Thanks for the recommendation.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'll see it again. See it in the theater. Eat some. You see it.
I saw. What?
Have you ever eaten mushrooms? Do you eat mushrooms?
Oh, I've done my share. I've certainly done my share.
Can you talk about the benefits of doing mushrooms?
Well, my sister suffers from depression, and we did mushrooms together every couple of months, and she found that it helped.
It's like microdosing, or like a full
full on, 5 or more grams.
Woo! All right. That's where you go, really. There's different levels to it where you can just do it like everyone's microdosing, which is amazing. I find that that's great for people to do that. And but to do like a full thing, I should, part of me thinks I should just fucking just go into being a person that guides people, because it's such an important thing,
Navigation. Spiritual navigation.
But okay, and that being said, what are the perfect for anybody who might or is watching this, would be the best way to do mushrooms that you could tell them, like a how-to? Because I got mine, but you might have yours.
Go ahead.
Well, surround yourself with things in a very comfortable space where no one's gonna see. The majority of the time that I've done mushrooms, that I've gotten the most out of them, have not been with other people. They're not. So if you're looking for a party, that's Burning Man. That's Coachella. That's Moon Tribe back in the day. But like, if you want to go for like a really existential, like really like get down to the nitty gritty of like what you are and who you are, and I'm not saying it's a miracle. I'm not a miracle worker. The mushrooms are the key, but it's a very personal thing. It's very personal. It's super. It might be the most personal thing you might do by yourself. That's actually non-sexual, but if you can put yourself into surroundings in a place where you are comfortable, no one's going to bother you. You have your music, you have creative supplies such as writing utensils, a bathtub, candles, music, something to write with. Painting is crazy because it changes, like you're basically making an animation for yourself, and you're going to make 20 paintings in one. So that'll get old really quick. So, but like going back into a hot bath, candles, a joint, and kind of, you can even turn the music off, but make sure the most important part is to be in a place where you are completely comfortable and not going to be bothered. Not going to be bothered by any outside forces. No girlfriend, no boyfriend, no dog, no cat. The cat and the dog might be really fun, but put yourself in a situation where you can be vulnerable to your thoughts, and
well put.
and that you're not going to be bothered and do the whole trip. Eat half the bag. Depends, depends on your weight. Depends on your weight. If you're
Yeah.
if you're a 100-pound person, you don't eat you gauge it and listen to the mushroom and gauge it according to how you feel, and you'll know what to do next. And give yourself check out for 10-12 hours, get a great night's sleep, wake up in the morning, have a great hydrate, drink some orange juice, get some coffee, water is going to be important. Have water with you. Don't drink beer. Maybe a glass of wine, but wine and alcohol is not going to do anything for you. You're going to just be tasting it for the taste. So like like a shake or juices that you like. And it is sort of like you're going through a what's it called? Like I guess I don't say purging,
Detox.
but like a detox. Exactly. So you're putting yourself through a mental and physical detox. You're not going to want to eat a hamburger on this stuff. Eat like stuff that's natural, that your body's going to, eat really well. Maybe some lentil soup at the end if you get really hungry, but your body's not going to want to do that. Anyways, that's my those are my key notes for a good trip.
There you go. I think the essence of any shamanic journey is to recognize that that's what you're doing, and go into it without reservation and with glee, knowing that your goal is to give the source of the universe your undivided attention. And so well rested, good night's sleep, eat a good meal the night before, first thing in the morning, citrus. And then I recommend, if you're going to do mushrooms, and you've never done them before, to do it in the daytime so that you can see. Average, core mushroom trip is about 4 hours of like body and mind and spirit. It'll keep going on for another 4 hours in both directions, but it's it's not for everybody. I'm not recommending it. It's a shamanic tool and needs to be treated with respect in every way, shape, and form, by all means, at all times.
Yeah, don't fuck with it. Don't get all like, you got to surrender.
Yeah.
Pardon me. I'm sorry. Didn't interrupt you.
No sweat.
It reminded me of that.
I think that the citrus is key. I used to be kind of a trip master in college.
Nice.
And my last 2 years, we'd go out on a weekend, and it was like spiritually herding cats, and directing a trip of 5 or 6 or 7 people. And I learned a lot about how this works. And so I, like you, and the reason I did it from the beginning, the reason I was interested in is consciousness. I wanted to understand and play and expand consciousness, and haven't stopped ever since.
Yeah. There's a when to do them and what not to do them. I would say if somebody's dealing with if they have a lot of, I don't know, you want to be in the right mood. You want to be in the right mood when you're not coming off of something that's super, like every time I've done it where there is no trauma or drama involved. It was easy, created those environments for yourself to be there, and you will get through the trauma that you have had in the past, and the trauma, and that will become to be hopefully something you're enlightened about. Like, that hopefully there's a series of confirmations of like even Glee, or not even thinking about deep stuff, but the the way it plays out, and that's why it's personal, because so many people have so many things that, you know, I mean, I had trauma that I didn't even realize that I stuffed down so far, but when it came up, I was like, oh, okay, I get it, I get it, you know, and a lot of it hopefully is confirmation, because you are who you are, and that's who you are. So it's very valuable,
training, man.
yeah. Have you done ayahuasca before?
No.
I had some ayahuasca in Peru with a shaman in the jungle of Peru. Totally different trip. Totally not some Topanga hippie shit. Just like the real deal. This is the real deal.
Topanga hippie shit, baby.
Yeah,
Topanga hippie shit. Yes.
This isn't me inviting 25 or 30 of my best friends to do ayahuasca with their children. This is a different. This is a different thing. Not saying that that's a bad thing.
Right.
Not a bad thing. However, it's a very personal thing. But ayahuasca was a trip, man. That was like very bone to the bone. Like you get, you know, Mother Earth. Same thing with mushrooms. I think you feel mushrooms is more a little bit of a visual like interpretation. Like it's like I don't know. It's all visual, but I don't know. You can release. It's a detox. All these are detoxing. Your mental, your physical. Like when I did ayahuasca in the Amazon, I was literally with other people. Nobody had it. I was like, is anybody? The next day, everybody was like, no problem. Like, I was like, did you guys not get anything out of that? They're all, oh, no. And they were just like talking like tourists. And I was like, holy shit. And so it doesn't affect everybody the same way. It's what you are ready to let go of as well and be vulnerable. And I guess that's the id or the whatever. But like it's very and peyote ritual was a different situation. They all had different earmarks, but I did peyote in a ceremony in a teepee in Nevada City, and that was nuts. That was like good, but very grounding, but also very like generational. Like there's parts towards that peyote ritual where I was like, there's only like 8 of us in the tent in the teepee, maybe 8, 10. It was a girl's birthday. That's why they had it. And I was invited to it. And I swear in the middle of that thing, there felt like there was 1,000 people in there. There was just whipping around. And my back was towards the, as just an interesting, because we're talking stories, but when we were walking to the tent, or not the tent, but the teepee, and there's a fire, it was a real deal. It was a ceremonial sanction. It was only white woman sanctioned by the Navajo or whoever the tribe was in that area. And you know, there's a fire keeper. There was a beginning, middle, and end, and tobacco was smoked at the beginning. But as I walked in that teepee, you know, there's a slit in the teepee where the air has to ventilate through the top and the bottom. Mm-hmm. And I walked in there, right, and everybody's already in there, like, you know, he's in front of me, she's in front of me, or, you know, but I saw, and I looked at that V spot over there across the room. I said, fuck, because that's where the air is. It's cold. It's fucking cold. It's like, and I fucking sat. My back was against that for 8 hours. Freezing cold outside, completely hot on the front. So my yin and yang were fucking, whew, they were like, my yin yang, I couldn't have been more present, because I had my back was frozen, my front was hot, and I could feel them between my body. Mm-hmm. And so I knew as soon as I saw it, I was all shit. And so I heard and walked around, and that's where I landed. And I was the one that had to do that job.
Because you could.
No, I'm not going to jump out of line.
No, I said because you could.
Oh, okay. Because I could, yeah. But part of me is like, oh, I can see it. I was like, oh, it's lining up with me really good. I was like counting the people, 1, 2. It's like, shit. But what the paleo ritual done in the right circumstances could be very, very, very. All these things that we're talking about can be very, but you have to do them in the right situation, the right time. I mean, I've got mushrooms in my fucking backpack that I haven't eaten yet. It's not you eat them for. You don't just go eat them. You have to right moment, right time, and it can be a very, very clarifying, very meaningful existential experience that you could bring back into this reality. Yeah. So that's my rant. I'm just so glad. Look at, we got 5 people watching us. If anybody has any questions for David or me, let me know, or let him know, because we've been doing this for about an hour and a half now. We're going on 2 hours. We're gonna have to cut this into a podcast.
Yeah, giving Joe Rogan a run for his money.
I'm the low rent Joe Rogan.
Okay.
Well, I do like Joe Rogan. Do you like Joe Rogan?
I have him to thank for introducing me to Randall Carlson, who's one of the most brilliant people we have on the planet right now.
And what was he do? Was he talking about?
He's so gifted in so many areas. He's recognized as an authority by academics because all the studies they covers so many different but let's see, he was on Joe Rogan with the brother that did Fingerprints of the Gods.
Oh, I should know that.
Graham Hancock.
Hancock, yeah.
Yeah. And he and Hancock did a field study together just before that.
The pyramid, the Sphinx?
No.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Randall's of the Northwest, the Pacific Northwest. He showed him all of these features in the landscape all across the Northwest to support his as evidence for the theory that has since been corroborated by science that about 12,900 years ago, there's this comet called Anki or Encke. It's named for the German astronomer Encke. It came into the solar system 30,000 years ago and was about 55 miles wide at the time. And since then, it achieved an orbit between Mercury and Jupiter and Saturn of 3.3 years. And at that time, 12,900 years ago, it made a close approach to the planet, and some of it broke off and exploded in the upper atmosphere over the North American and Laurentide ice sheets that covered most of North America at the time. When before this, Boston, Chicago, New York were under 2 miles of ice. In that instant, when those ice fragments exploded, it flash melted a lot of that ice, and it kept going in the direction of the impact. So it went from east to west across the Northwest. And those are the features that Randall Carlson showed Graham Hancock in the land. He was at a rock concert. He had been smoking some pot or something, or maybe it was acid. I'm not sure. I think it was acid. He was tripping on acid. What's that?
If you're doing acid, you're probably smoking some joints.
Yeah, right. But he was at a rock concert that was on the bluff over this river valley, and he had a revelation. He was like looking at it. It was like this. It didn't make sense. The explanation that this valley was made by the river. It was like too much water had to have passed through there than just that, you know. And over the years, he did all this research into geology, you know, metallurgy, all of these, because he was the Grand Master of his Masonic Lodge, and so he knew all that, you know, Masonic Lodge stuff, because he's a construction person, you know, engineer type person, and he so Hancock around that time, Hancock published his latest book, which is, I don't know, it's a sequel to Fingerprints of the Gods. And so this, I recommend anybody just look up Randall Carlson. It's Randall Carlson, and watch any videos where he's talking, you know, because you're going to learn something important. And he knows, he's like an expert in sacred geometry. He does sacred geometry workshops and all this sort of stuff. And I've been painting sacred geometry since 1995, and I discovered him probably about 8 years ago, somewhere around in there. And I have to say, I feel like he's kind of a national treasure. So props to Randall Carlson.
Cheers, Randall Carlson.
There you go, bro. There it is.
Oh,
plug for Randall Carlson.
So so we're not the first civilization to be here on planet Earth. Is that what you're saying?
According to the Hopi, according to the Hindu scriptures, no. If you mean we being the modern civilization, no.
Human.
According to the Hopi, before, I think it was the world before this one, that people flew between cities on great shields. So I've spent the past 20 years trying to figure out, the Hopi prophecy, people talk about a lot, but there's a creation story that is fascinating. And their creation story goes back through 3 previous world destructions. The first by fire, the second by ice, and the third by flood. And each time before, those who remember to keep the top of their head open to the rest of the universe were directed by the nephew of the Great Spirit to go to a certain place and do a certain thing in order to survive. The first 2 times they were directed to go into the earth and join the ant people. Wouldn't we all love to know who the ant people were? The third time they were directed to go to a mountaintop where they watched the floodwaters come and the floodwaters recede, and then they were told to build these craft and head off in a certain direction. And they came to islands that they said were paradise twice. And each time they were told, no, this is not the place, this would be too easy for them to keep going. And eventually they came to a place where they knew this was the place that they would make their emergence into the 4th world. But they said the cliffs were so sheer they couldn't land. So they rode north, and then they rode south, and finally they just let the current take them, and it landed them on this beach where they were met by the Kachinas, Spider Woman, and the nephew of the Great Spirit. And they were told that the Kachinas were beings from other planets and star systems. And they were told that yes, this was the place that they would make their emergence into the 4th world, but it wasn't their ultimate destination. Their ultimate destination is a place called the center of the universe, and it was miles away. And what they were told was that before they would be allowed to settle in the center of the universe, each of the clans would have to go on their migrations. And that meant all the way um, to the edges of the landmass. And when they got to the edge, half the clans would go left and half the clans would go right before returning to the center. Thus, each clan would walk what we would call a swastika, but which is their symbol for migration and is the Hindu symbol for good fortune. And my theory is that they came from the part of the world that is now Indonesia and the Philippines. 10,000 before 12,000 years ago, it was all one piece of property. It was all one piece of land. And when the Aborigines came, the ocean levels were 300 to 400 feet lower. When the Aborigines became Aborigines, they're descended from these folks that walked out of Africa along the coastlines. The first exodus out of Africa walked all the way along the coastlines to in what is now that 150-mile channel between Bali and Lombok. And that was the boundary between all of the land that includes New Zealand, Australia, and Papua New Guinea was all one continent. And all the land north of that is called Sudaland. It was all one continent from Bali to the Himalayas. It was all connected. And there are ruins there that go back 15,000 years. Have you ever you've been to Hawaii?
Yes.
Okay, so you know the street signs, they have King Kamehameha?
I was in Kona.
Okay.
And
yeah, so the street signs have, it'll say what the street is, but there's a figure on every street sign that's King Kamehameha.
Oh yeah.
Right? And he's in his formal dress with a cape that's made of feathers. Right? But his hat is made of feathers as well, but it's exactly like the hat that the monks that do the chanting, that travel around, and the Buddhist monks that do the chanting, they're from Tibet.
Are they kind of a larger hat?
Yeah, it's like a big crescent, big gold crescent.
Yeah.
Right. So same exact, it's they recognize one another. They've recognized one another as relatives formally.
Yeah.
And there's loads of stories about there was a brother named Daddy Bray who is descended from a tribe of people that landed in Hawaii from the mainland. And he got a call that he had to come back to the mainland. And he came and, went up and down the West Coast and couldn't find why he was around. And he ended up at a print shop in Santa Monica that was owned by Native Americans. And they, he hung out with them for a couple of days, and then he finally said, I'm gonna go home. And somebody asked him, going back to Hopi Land? He said, Hopi Land, what's Hopi Land? And it figured out that was where he was supposed to go. And this person that asked him that question and arranged for him to go was a friend of a friend. Daddy Bray went there because he was he was a person of stature, So he had to have somebody go ahead of him. And this person went ahead and made the arrangements and announced his coming. And so they had a formal meeting with the Hopi elders, and they went through all the formalities, and it didn't appear that nothing became apparent, like why the meeting had to be called. So as part of the protocol, Daddy Bray asked permission to sing the song of his lineage in closing. And when he sang the song, the Hopi were amazed because they could finish his song.
Oh yeah, I've heard the story. Yeah.
Right. Well, so it's really cool how we'd like to think that we're all so different, but we all came from the same point in Africa 73,000 years ago. There were less than 1,000 mating pairs of people. And this volcano blew up that's in Indonesia, and it caused a winter that lasted between 6 and 10 years. And it forced those people to move to the coast to find food. And that's what started the migration along the Indian Ocean, the shore of the Indian Ocean. And along the way, they taught themselves how to sail. And they mated with the other primates along the way, hominids. It's I love natural history.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's pretty.
Go ahead.
I was just saying it's pretty incredible when to see that lineage, I guess, to see the story of it.
Yeah, our story, or at least that's the story of the human beings in this round.
Good story though.
It is a good story. It's coming along pretty good, I think, at this point. There are a lot of folks that are feeling very challenged right now, and we started this conversation so many hours ago, and with me trying to explain what the fuck is going on, and the benefits and detriments. The whole thing is has to do with density and sensitivity. Our increased sensitivity to density and the fluctuations in density. As I was saying before about coherence and incoherence, right? There are, just like in music, there are notes. When we hear those notes, it feels good. And when we hear that space in between, it doesn't feel so good, right? This where we are right now is we're moving through a point of transition. You were talking before about COVID, the pandemic, and whether people, whatever they got out of that period of reflection, it's a benchmark. There's pre-COVID and before and everything that happened after, because do you remember when we were all saying, can't wait till we can get back to?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but where are we getting back to?
Right. There's no back to get to now. We passed a benchmark, and that benchmark shows up in the genetics, right?
Yeah.
Because there are those that got vaccinated and those that didn't get vaccinated, and they're going to mix and match. But 1,000 years from now, those markers are going to be in the blood, and people will be able to see what happens with, I mean, our this species is going to, it'll be a benchmark in the evolution of the species, is what I'm saying, is what we've passed on so many levels. We're still passing through it because we're not done. For the United States, what's happening is Pluto has a period of 249, 248 years, right? The last time it was in the sky where it is right now was when the country was born,
Wow.
1776. So we're going through a cycle of rebirth. And as you approach the end of that spiral, there's a review, right? All the chickens come home to roost. All the challenges are, do you want to continue? How do you want to continue? All the self-reflection, right? You go through the process of death, transformation, rebirth, which is what, Pluto and Hades is all about, the god of the underworld. Death, transformation, and rebirth, right? The shamanic journey, right?
Yeah.
The world is going through a shamanic journey, as always, because we're all going through our own shamanic journeys, right? For some of us, that involves mushrooms and marijuana or acid or whatever. For some of us, that's a hoagie,
Yeah. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
it's the next CSI episode or whatever the fuck, for some of us, it's Fox News because they do a really good job of scaring the fuck out of people, right? That's Rupert Murdoch's business model, is scare the fuck out of as many people as you possibly can, and they'll keep coming back for your product, right? So if people stop watching that shit and they walk outside and they walk down the street and they say hello to somebody they'd never said hello to again, that's your anti-Fox News right there. Go see your auntie. Give her a hug, sit down and talk story with your auntie, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens within our lifetime to see if we actually, but then there's also the story of it, and we will create things based on, I don't know, it's just a creative endeavor. It's like, it's how do you keep yourself going, and the highs and the lows, and there's a lot of different emotions and a lot of different things that people have to get through to come back to themselves. And I like to see, I want to paint like I did when I was 13 years old, without like trying to see if I could sell the painting, or trying to see if I want to paint like I used to, like a long time. The child is still there. It's still there, but and growing up as children, I'm sure that you must have known this about yourself, or I assume that just that what life is a trip, and like you saw things happening before they happened, and then when they happen, there's like, oh, okay, that happened. It's like a whole thing. It's like, oh, we just went through a huge different photon belt, I don't know, like of consciousness, where we are, I guess, more of who we are as a reminder of what we could be, or it's just it's a menagerie, is what it is. It's a cornucopia of different things and experiences. And I mean, if we could pull these together and not necessarily enlighten others, but tell our stories, or maybe somebody might have a resonance with that and go, oh shit, I like that. That reminds me of when I was whatever. And I don't know. It makes it exciting, I guess. So yeah, I appreciate this conversation, because it's a good, I think I needed to hear this conversation tonight, because, and I just randomly, I saw you're on there and you're like doing chant, and but it does feel good. It reminds you of, I guess, your human side, and not getting caught up in, fuck, I didn't make money today. Oh, I undersold a painting, or I did this, or Ukraine, or the shooting in Texas, or this thing. This is like, it's a menagerie of different things that push and pull you from one thing. I don't know. It's a menagerie. It's like it's a soup.
So, if I could give, I've been on this shamanic journey consciously and willingly since Christmas 2018, and that's when I'd been not doing any kind of mood altering substances whatsoever for 22 years before that, as an exercise in clarity. I wanted to see what I could accomplish with the clarity that I created under those circumstances. And unknowingly, a couple of months after I was symptomatic for the cancer, I got this inner call to do begin a conscious shamanic journey. And when I was on there, when I was in the midst of it, I started at the breakwater at 9:30 in the morning with an edible, 2/3 of a gummy bear, and I walked to the marina and back all day, and I recorded everything because cannabis had always been something that stimulated brainstorming for me. And so if I, especially if there's nobody else around, I just, I really can get a lot of wonderful ideas coming through. So I'm walking along, and it was one of these days where it's so windy that the only place to be is where the wet sand is. Because if you're up any higher off the beach, you're going to get, pelted by sand pebbles and sand. And the ocean had churned up so much foam, and it blown the foam up on shore. And as I'm walking along, it was like I was in an airplane from my eye perspective, flying over a futuristic city that was made of bubbles. And the bubbles were made of bubbles. And I saw, in my mind's eye, I saw, like a leaf blower. Somebody,
Yeah.
a construction worker wearing a leaf blower like apparatus and blowing like brick-sized bubbles. And those bubbles were made of hemp resin and recycled plastic. And then I imagined a barge made of decommissioned super tankers being stationed at the center of a gyre. The gyre in the middle of the ocean that collects all the plastic. In the center of each ocean on the planet, there's a gyre, and all the plastic is being collected up there, right? So what I saw was this barge, and on the barge is a bubble factory that takes the plastic and mixes it with hemp resin and makes bubbles around the bubble factory, and essentially makes an island, and then it makes a city, and each one of those bubbles is a terrarium. And the terrariums and the bubbles get made and made and made until they go all the way down to the bottom of the ocean. You've got a city of terrariums made from the bubble factory, right? And the bubble factory and terrarium thing becomes the platform for a space elevator. So there's a space elevator in the center of all the oceans, which seems like a perfect place for a space elevator to be, if you're ever going to do one,
Sure.
Yeah. So this is what I call daydreaming club. That it came to me then, the concept of daydreaming club, because when somebody says, hey, I had this dream, everybody shuts up and listens to what it is that they're saying, you know what I mean? Without judgment. You're trying to figure out the dream just as much as the next person, because none of us know the whole story. So,
well, Natalie Portman, who's super smart, and I know she's a celebrity and all that, but she had a really good thing, and I agree with it at some. I agree with it at some level. I don't know when or where she said it, but she said something to the effect that she that like somebody asked her if dreams are real or something, and she said no, they're the echo of your day. You're the I'm completely, I don't even know where to find this, if people Google it or whatever, I don't know, but something I remember hearing, and I thought it was true, because it's like not all dreams can be an out of body experiences, but I do believe that they are echoes of the experiences of the day that you've just experienced, and you can actually bring some of those elements of those dreams that will subconsciously or consciously make decisions based on that dream in this reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it does affect,
Mm-hmm.
like, how this material reality, this stuff here, beer, whatever, it does have an effect. Like, and I do believe they are also echoes. Echoes are a big deal, because we're just trying to, your brain and your consciousness, maybe your consciousness is smarter than your brain. Maybe it's all, one's material, one's chemical, or, chemical reaction to, I'm spitballing here, but it just like, it seems to, one affects the other. I guess I could say, or not. But sometimes if you have like a really crazy dream, like that Dogon dream, that was a deja vu within a dream, which was crazy. When you're in a dream and you actually get deja vu, you're like, wait. And then you like, you're conscious in the dream, and then you bring it out into this reality. And you know the funny thing about that Dogon tribe thing is I had never heard it, or actually ever before that dream. I'd never even read anything or heard anything about the Dogon dream, or Dogon tribe. And I went to my friend who was a psychic on the beach, at the time, Bridget Montgomery, who was doing a psychic reading on Dudley Court, and I described that dream to her, and she goes, "Oh, that's a Dogon tree. That's a Dogon tribe." And then I read about the Dogon tribe afterwards. So I didn't have, and I can completely say that the reason why that dream is so crazy, because I had no prior knowledge of them. It wasn't like I was reading a book or reading or illustrations, or there was no context. That was the dream I had, and then I came to her. She goes, "Oh, that's Dogon."
Mm.
That's when my mind blew. I was like, "Wait a second, I didn't know about this until now," but I knew, it was a really weird mix.
Yeah. There's this, that thing about the Dogon knew that the star Sirius was a binary or trinary star, and they had a calendar, exactly an accurate calendar of and method of, because there's a 52-year cycle, and when science caught up and it was discovered that these folks knew about Sirius, they asked them, there were these two scientists went to them and said, "How did you know that that's a binary star or trinary star?" And they said that thing that I said earlier about, this spaceship came and this thing came out and dug a big hole and filled it with water, and these two dolphins jumped in and swam over and told us that that's where they came from.
Yeah, I remember hearing this. Yeah, I remember that rings a bell. Yeah. So dolphins were, a long time ago, I had a dream about Atlantis. Atlantis is a whole other thing. If we have another 5 hours, we'll go into Atlantis, because I've had some out of body experiences with Atlantis. And I had this one vision of people jumping off of Atlantis, or off of the cliffs of like the castles or the moats or the roundabout. Anyway, and they would, as they're as they're jumping into the water, they're turning into dolphins.
Hmm.
And, you know, it just makes for a great visual. But at the time, it was like, that's part of that Atlantean dream I had where, I don't know, there's blue people. I don't know. That's a whole other thing. I don't know if we might want to start, like, I'm getting tired now. So, but like, we might have to do that on a podcast and talk about it.
Okay.
Because that's a whole nother
Oh.
ball.
Well, it's been a pleasure, sir.
Yeah, so you save this and we'll try to make it into a video. If I can chop it up into a Breath with Friends, I will. But save it and onto your thing and I'll try to grab it.
Yeah, I've never done this before. So does this, do you get a copy of this automatically?
No, but if you save it to your stories,
Okay.
I might be able to grab it.
Okay.
But I have to just do this whole thing over again
on
a Zoom podcast.
Oh, that would suck. It's been a pleasure, man. It's been a pleasure.
Is there anything you want to say before you leave? But I've really enjoyed this conversation. I feel like we just did a full, like, blown podcast. But like,
right.
What do you how do you stay inspired?
How do I stay inspired? Are you kidding me, man? You see where we are? Look around. Look at where we are. We're infinite immortal beings, man. And these are our spacesuits, remember?
Yeah.
This is our spaceship. And we chose to be here, every one of us. And our goal right now is to get to the point where we are cherishing every soul that comes into this world and helping them in every way, shape, and form to realize their gifts that they brought to share with us. You know what I mean? I mean, that should be the goal of all of our efforts, no matter what it is, to the 7th generation, right?
Yeah.
And because if we don't do that, then we perish. The bubbles, the terrariums, we live in the largest terrarium there is in the universe. And we all would benefit from remembering and realizing how to make a really good terrarium wherever we go, because wherever else we go in the cosmos, we're gonna have to be really good at creating terrariums, right? So I'm in favor of an international terrarium contest.
Well, what we have as humans that a lot of things don't have, that we have this is based on a Jonathan Winters thing I saw like a long time ago, back when, right actually before I did that peyote ritual in Nevada City, or God, where the fuck is it, California, whatever, is in fucking near Tahoe. But we have embeddability is our survival gift, is that we can embed basically anywhere and survive, like in a mountaintop, or for troglodytes, or
Okay.
wherever we're at, we can make our home.
Yeah.
We actually, one of the things, probably one of the reasons why we've survived so long without technology to get to this place, is that people are building homes and fucking down in the side of a mountain to stay safe from bears and other wildlife that would eat us. But yeah, the human construct is like, it's like the people that were Neanderthals didn't have a back to look at. You know, they couldn't see how far back they go, as opposed to how far back we can see that we go now. You know, we can see the lineage of our ancestors, as opposed to the shrew that was living in the treetops with the dinosaurs before they went extinct. We were survivors, and we did all these different things. These are all ideas. We weren't there physically, like you. I wasn't, but it feels like we could tell the story and see the lineage of how we became human, and where we go from here is, I guess, the unknown. But maybe it's known. Maybe it's already happened before, many times, with Atlantis and.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. So there are all these different timelines, all these different realities that are happening right now, right? Everything, every possible manifestation in creation exists, right? And in the center of that, running through it all, is this, what I call the golden thread, the golden thread of perfection, where there's no suffering and everything works out, right? Everything is yummy. And we, this collection of souls on this planet, we like to surf in that area between perfection and everything else. And that's it's there are all these realities that we can choose to see ourselves as being within. You know, the reality of a timeline that looks familiar to us, right? And there are all these other realities. Everybody's got their own infinitude of realities to play with. And some of those are agreed upon. They're the same reality, and some of them aren't. And what I've been learning on my shamanic journey is, as I become more empathic, is to be very disciplined about what about my thoughts. Be very disciplined about what I give my attention to. Be very disciplined about what primarily it's a selfish thing, because if I just happen to see something, if I focus on that, I'll start getting all this information about it, you know? Like if I'm sitting in a hot spring and I can hear people's conversations and I understand the language that they're speaking, it's very challenging for me to not understand what they're saying and start to get images that are disturbing, you know, what I'd like to be thinking about, right? So I've had to learn how to be very, very disciplined about what I give my attention to, because I see the effect on me if I, you know, allow my empathy to be focused on things that aren't germane to what it is that I need that to be focused on. And so this sort of mental discipline, being able to detach energetically from things and people and ideas, is essential in terms of mental health, right? So there's know your limits, especially with the news, and recognize that the people that are making sure they've invested a tremendous amount of money in you thinking about what they want you to be thinking about. If it's important to remember that to them, news is a tool of manipulation, and it's a tool of generating revenue. And so be very mindful whatever you see in the news, you have to ask yourself, why does somebody want me to know this? Why does somebody want me to feel this? Right?
Yeah.
And it may not be for you, but it may be for that 1/3 of the population whose reaction to change is fear. And those who benefit off of that, you know, whose business model is fear, benefit off of that, right? They're going to use that. And then all they need is 1/3. You know, Hitler was elected. He lost the presidency. But he had 30% of the vote, right? He lost the election, but he had 30% of the vote.
The Trump.
And 6 months later, he was made chancellor by the guy that beat him in that election. So 1/3 is enough to fuck up the world. You know what I mean? And I watched very, very carefully. Donald Trump, his approval rating never dropped below 30. And much to my chagrin. But authoritarianism isn't just Donald Trump, and it's not just Putin. It's a function of what's going on energetically, density, and fluctuations in the density of things. And we're certainly going through a very turbulent patch of space right now, energetically. And but we're I would give us an A plus. We're right on time, right on schedule. We're heading in the right direction. There's a lot of people that are in that 1/3, and the people that are trying to manipulate them, all the authoritarians, right? And those who think they're going to benefit them. Those folks, this is their last gasp. This is their last chance because to further their control of the world, because they're obsolete, and they know it. They're holding on by their fingernails, because the generations that are coming are too sensitive to energy to be able to tolerate energetically the world that we are living in right now. They're not going to be able to, even sound wise. There's certain types of music that will not be able to be endured, and thus they won't proliferate. Brute force, its day is over. If we go in a certain direction, if we make this transition in properly. But if not, it'll get flushed. It'll be fertilizer for the next go round. But consciousness prevails either way. I mean, there's nothing, there's no loss. Everything is fertilizer, but trajectory wise, we're headed in the right direction. Everybody it feels expressed. Everybody is expressing, right? The authoritarians are expressing themselves. The Republicans are, showing their cards. One of the functions of Pluto, the Pluto return, is where everything is revealed. All the secrets are revealed. Everything that was hidden is revealed.
I hope that's true.
That's what's happened. And it's only going to become more so. The peak of this return isn't for another 2 years. Well put.
Thank you.
Couldn't have said it better, my friend. And on that note, I'm going to call that punctuation.
Dude, punctuation. I love it. Well, I think let's do this again.
All right.
I'll try to make a video out of this for Breaths with Friends. Maybe this will be episode 74. But otherwise, let's wake up to a new tomorrow.
All right. Sounds like a plan to me.
All right. I love it. Hey, thanks a lot. These are all the things I needed to hear. I was in a weird mood, and I heard your calling, and I am glad we had this conversation.
Me too, bro. Really, it's a wonderful thing when wonderful things happen.
Wonderful things happen. Sleep good tonight.
Yeah, man. This is the beginning of something marvelous.
Yes. Oh, by the way, somebody just says, yeah, I do a podcast. It's called Breaths with Friends. You can find it on YouTube. And we're going to try to make this into one or we'll do another one with you on the road. But what are you going to do tomorrow? Are you going to stay in that area?
Good question. We'll wake up, we'll breathe, we'll pee, we'll take a look at the world as it is. As it is.
Let's wake up. It's Super Sunday. Super Sunday.
What's that?
Super Sunday. Super Sunday.
Super Sunday?
Yeah, it's like a Super Sunday.
Is it Sunday?
Tomorrow. Well, right now it is.
Yeah, that's cool.
Let's have a super tomorrow and a Gaga tonight or
Yeah,
Gaga tomorrow. Anyways, but hey man, let's talk soon. All right.
Right.
Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for having a little live stream there.
Yeah.
If you save it, I'll try to grab it.
Love and light.
Love and light. Namaste.
Namaste.